everybody. Welcome back to the Damn Yankees Podcast, produced by Seven Ashes Productions. It is Monday, September 4th. I'm Megan. That's my brother, Ryan. And over there is our baseball dummy, Cliff.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
We're back after
Welcome
a little
back.
while. The Yankees might not get any hardware this year, but Ryan has some new hardware that he could show you.
Hey.
Hey. Congratulations, Ryan and Laura Grace, getting married.
Yes.
So we've been a little busy, Ryan especially, the last few weeks getting ready for the wedding.
Yeah.
It's a very beautiful wedding.
Between the wedding and starting off another cross-country season, there's just been been a lot going on. So
we're back, and Ryan and I are ready to rant about the Yankees today. So.
Yes. And it's a little harder to do a rant after we just
swept the Astros. I mean, there's pretty good vibes with that. Absolutely.
Can
but
you guys just be happy? Jesus.
Well, we haven't been here for a month, and we've been angry for several weeks, and not being able to.
Definitely stuff that just needs to be talked about.
That's right.
So
I just talk about it.
Like I said, I want to go on a little bit of a rant here, and so I just want to make sure you're ready for it.
And for context, the last time that we actually did this, the Yankees were still, the playoffs were still right in front of us, and we controlled our destiny, and we were not under 500. So we were still a winning ball club the last time we did this. And I think right after we did the last podcast, and we went down to Miami for their second game of the 3-game series and watched
lost 2 of the 3.
Lose the quickest game of the season. I think it was like a 2-hour game. Alcantara. Yeah, sorry, not Alvarez. Pitched a really good game. And so that's how long it's been since we last did this. So we've got a lot to rant about.
Game shutout, right?
I think you're right.
No, not
I think you're
shutout.
Right. Not a shutout, but a complete game, right? We did score one run, or like a couple runs when you were off getting food at the concession stand. The level down. They didn't. Yeah.
Maybe they just should have stayed down there.
Maybe we should have stayed. We would have won.
Clearly, that's what needed to happen. The Yankees could just sense that.
Yeah. They're like, oh, Ryan's gone. Let's score some runs now.
Right. Ryan's looking for beer 2 levels down from where he's sitting. And
Not a great upper level setup that they had there. I don't know. Maybe they just weren't thinking about the upper levels. They're like, poor people.
They're like, they're poor anyway. They're not buying beer. No.
I did not enjoy that stadium. I just want you to know.
Yeah, it wasn't our favorite, but that's okay.
No.
Just legit. Anyway, go ahead.
You're good. Yeah,
it's so rare that we hear you rant, Ryan. I'm just going to let you rant.
All right. So, are you ready for it, though?
Yep.
Are you ready for it?
I just want to get into it with what is the end game for Cashman and how. I mean, there's been a lack of moves throughout this season. We said at the beginning of the year that we needed a left fielder, we needed a closer. I mean, go back through our podcast, just look at the Yankees roster. Look at what anybody's ever been talking about, ever. Everybody knew that the Yankees needed a left fielder. They needed a closer. They needed a 5th starting pitcher. They've needed a 3rd baseman. There's just been so much that this team has been in need of offense, need of lefties in the lineup. We haven't got. We didn't do anything. We didn't sell or buy by the trade deadline. And now we have both waived, released, DFA'd players that we've been saying are not good enough. And so I don't understand it. Cashman can't admit that he did anything wrong. He wants to say that who knew? No one ever thought that this team would be in this position. We did. I mean, when we go back, you could go back to the preseason, and we said if Jason Dominguez is called up by September 1st,
we're in a bad shape.
We're in a bad spot. Cashman needs to be able to say, I did something bad. But instead, he says, don't blame me. Instead, he points the fingers back at guys like Luis Severino. And I'm not saying that Luis Severino has been great, but he wants to point his finger to a guy like that. And I get that free agent can be very delicate. Moves don't always pan out. Trades don't always end up the way you expect it to. Players don't play to the potential that they can play at. But now Sevy's out there saying, look at what you made me do. I mean, how many starts I think he's had 3 starts since Cashman's made these comments.
Mm-hmm.
2 of them, he didn't give up any runs. His third one against the Astros wasn't the best, but I think the team still ended up rallying behind him and winning the game. You know,
much better than giving up 9 runs in his first inning or whatever.
Yeah. So I mean, clearly it's not all his fault. We knew that anyway. And Cashman just wants his scapegoats. He only plays a fifth of the games if healthy. Meanwhile, left fielders, third basemen play every day, and we never got that. There's one man in charge of getting us players in those positions, and he failed that. And so it goes. Now we are dealing with the same issues over and over again. This time, Howe and Cashman can't fall back on this idea of a winning season, that at least we made the playoffs. We made the playoffs hurt, injured or whatever thing that they want to be able to say to make excuses for the season. They just don't have that. I mean, obviously, yes, we've had injuries, we've had issues going on, but we have never in the last, 30 years?
Yeah, I think so.
Been a losing team in September.
I think it was more than 30. I feel like I wasn't even born yet, and I'm old, so.
It's never happened in my lifetime. I don't think it's happened in your lifetime. Like that. That's not good. I just wish that Hal would send Cashman in a getaway car, lock the keys, throw them away, and just say goodbye. Let them ride off into the sunset. Let's move on. Let's change everything up. But unfortunately, that won't happen. I mean, this is why we can't have nice things, because we just don't change anything. There nothing ever happens. I will say on the bright side, because I know Cliff said that, we're always doom and gloom. On the bright side, it's nice that they did call up the kids, We needed to call them up. We DFA'd or not DFA'd, we released Josh Donaldson. We didn't bring him back up. We brought up Peraza finally. We finally did something with him other than leave him in AAA. We brought up Everson Perea. And then September 1st, we brought up Wells and Jason Dominguez. And I got to say, the Martian, first pitch that he sees, first swing of the bat of his Yankee career is off of Justin Verlander.
Yep.
And it goes for a home run.
Seats. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely amazing. His swing is absolutely gorgeous, and had a hell of a series just all the way through. I think he had another home run in the second game, which helped put us up. Or the second or third game, one of the games.
Third game. Yeah.
He helped put us up in the series.
Yeah, it was
Wells
really great.
Played very well too.
Yeah, that homer was really great because it came after a very terrible judge call. It was like a foot outside. He gets rung up for strike 3, and then Martian comes in, and before I can set off my angry tweet about in what world is that a damn strike, and the Martian is hitting another home run right then. So he's like, forget about that.
I mean, Jason Dominguez, I just read of all of his at bats, they're all 85 plus exit velo. Even his outs were really good. One of his fly balls could have been out in not a majority of stadiums, but several.
His swing is going to look so good at Yankee Stadium. That's going to be. Can't wait.
I mean, and having a switch hitter back up, it is really nice. And like I said, Wells also played really well. A lefty that we've needed in the lineup. A lefty that we've been saying has, Wells, who's been, I think we joked before the podcast, Wells has been a better hitting coach than I think
at least one
some of our own staff has been. At least one of them, the one that got fired.
Maybe both of them, but at least one of them.
I mean, ever since Volpe, it's been continuing. Ever since Volpe had chicken parm with him, Volpe looks. I mean, he looks better than Gunnar Henderson.
Whenever he slumps, his slumps are much shorter now. Yeah. So
and then also another bright side is that Garrett Cole and Aaron Judge, they're the kings of my heart. I think they're the kings of all Yankee hearts out there. I mean, Judge, I mean, such an injured-riddled season. What, he's only played 80 some games this season.
Games, yeah.
And he's hit 31 home runs. I mean, that's pace to hit almost 60 again. So, I mean, not that that means he did hit 60. I'm not trying to say that, but it's still an incredible pace for someone who's
still probably playing at 80%. Let's be real, of his at best.
Yeah, so he's still injured. Yeah, I'm just saying that doesn't mean he would have hit 60 had he played all the games.
But it's still highly impressive. Yeah,
still very impressive that's the pace he's been. And Cole still on Cy Young pace. I mean, he had one bad start, I think, this month.
Blip. Yeah, a little blip.
But overall, he's been our ace all year. I know that. Who is it? There's someone who has like just barely a better ERA. I don't know if it's Sonny Gray anymore.
I think it is Sonny. The last thing I saw was that Sonny Gray had a better ERA, but like in every other category.
0.01.
Yeah, and Garrett Cole's like blowing him out of the water in every other category. Yeah. So it's like, no, wait, hang on, no.
and Garrett Cole, unlike Sonny Gray, like Garrett Cole is pretty much the reason the Yankees have been not like the Washington Nationals this season.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, like we have literally like gone through the season with sometimes one legit starter, and it was Garrett Cole, and he would stop the bleeding every time. So, yeah.
So those are the good things. I don't want everything to sound so terrible. Like I enjoyed those parts, especially of that Astros series. I even joked, I think, like, just in my head, I called it the World Series before we started. Like, just because, I mean, that's just how it felt, you know?
It was,
I wish we could have done it while winning. I wish we could have done it while being in that playoff hunt.
We haven't swept the Astros since 2013 when Andy Pettitte was on the team.
Still on the team, yeah. So, I mean, that is it's something that I think that the team needed, and it's good to see that we did that to the Astros to prevent them from being the top team, which I'm sure we'll get into more later.
I mean, we joked that I think we joked earlier in the year that our AAA team was better than our major league team, and it is certainly not a joke.
It's certainly not a joke, because those players are the reason that has sparked.
We've gone 6-1 in the last
doing so well. 7 games,
yeah.
So, I mean, there's definitely room to be happy about in this last little bit. I think if we had done this podcast a week ago, it probably would be almost all doom and gloom, especially coming off that Cashman interview. I mean, that was just bleak.
Bad.
Listening to him.
Lost the series to the Nationals. We got and
then we're waving Harrison Bader. Who, I mean, I'm wearing his jersey right now,
since he take care of him.
Yes. So anyway, I mean, outside of that Astros series and the solid series against a bad Tigers team, I mean, we've just been playing prior to this. We've been playing with, as if we were dancing with our hands tied behind our back, we were just going through the movements, the motions of it all without any passion, without anything. And so I love seeing the kids coming up and bringing some of that back. And hopefully that stays. That's not just for this Astro series. And then we're back to playing because that was just, at this season, the season is what it is. But if we can at least finish out the season playing with some passion and playing with some sense of who we are, that would be nice. Because at the end of the day, Hal can dress it any way he wants. You can call it what you want, but this season has been a disaster. I know he has said as much. I know he recently said that this season has been terrible, but all he's doing about it is having an outsider look at the analytics team. I mean, give me a break.
Yeah.
Give me a break. Yeah. How about you get an outsider to tell you that Cashman sucks?
Yeah.
I mean, I was looking back. I don't think Cashman has done anything with the World Series without a Gene Michaels player on the team. Now, 2009 is a technicality because, you had Andy Pettitte. I mean, you did have your core four there. Was Jorge Posada part of that 2009 group?
I think so.
I think he was.
Yeah. He should have. Yeah.
So you had the core four there, but they also did a lot of that by spending a lot, and really they were spending a lot to win for George. They were winning it for George since he passed the year before. But since then, I mean, Cashman's done nothing. And this season
nothing that's worked out, certainly. And there are some that you can say is like, okay, like Joey Gallo, everyone was excited for Joey Gallo.
Yeah.
And I think if you are going to about Joey Gallo and Cashman, not you, but a Yankee fan's going to about Joey Gallo and Cashman getting him, and that was a failed blah blah blah.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely
that should have worked out.
Fans,
yeah.
Like when it comes to Yankee fans, I'm not saying that we're all knowing and we can do Cashman's job, but at
Cashman
the same
should
time,
be able to do his job.
His job, right?
Yeah,
like
he's the one that gets paid to do it. Yeah,
right. And that's where, I mean, just to finish up, major changes need to happen with this team. This team has to look different by New Year's Day, because we have to look different by New Year's Day, or else this team is just going to continue to go through these bad motions, and we might luck into the playoffs because we have such a huge payroll. We should be making the playoffs.
Yeah. Hell, we might be limping into the playoffs if Aaron Judge isn't
injured. Right.
We probably do limp into the playoffs if Aaron Judge is not injured for a month and a half,
or at least being within that,
months, whatever.
Not 8 games back, but at least ahead of the Red Sox and within a couple games fighting for it.
We're certainly not a last place team if Aaron Judge is not injured this year. I mean, I think that's
If these things don't change,
yeah.
Sorry, I was just going to say, if these things don't change, we're not going to live up to our reputation.
Yeah. So, right.
That's the end of my rant.
That's the end of your rant. Yeah, no, you're right. You're absolutely right. And I'm sorry I interrupted you.
Oh, you're good.
Yeah, it does need to. The Yankees' reputation is that we're supposed to be the best and the greatest. And
sorry, I got a text from LG. She recognized what I was doing.
She
caught on about a couple minutes ago.
I'd imagine she would have, Swiftie that she is.
Yeah.
But very good. That was a very good rant. And I like,
I mean, I was just glad I stayed on point without getting too crazy. But yes, that's a little wedding gift for.
Yeah. For. No, that's fine. That was good. I actually really like that. It fit very well. You intertwined that, and I think non-Swifties may not have even noticed until maybe the very end.
Yeah.
But that was good. Anyway, the Yankees' reputation is that they are the best in the world. But I mean, they haven't won since 2009. We haven't been to the World Series since 2009.
Since 2009.
I don't know. Yeah. So, your reputation is only as good as you can prove. And the current Yankee, like, Cashman can't rest on the laurels of the past Yankees anymore. He put up or shut up.
Yeah,
like they're
and Hal needs to be able to grow up.
Grow a pair and fire your BFF. Like, I don't care that you grew up with him. I don't care that you don't like
He's your
firing
father's
people.
Last hire.
Like, I don't give a. He's been with the Yankees for over a quarter of a century, right? And like, nothing to show for it for the last 10 years plus.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to Hal. I mean, let's look at the Astros for an example. As much as I hate them, they won the World Series last year, and they fired the GM.
Yeah.
I mean, and they're not looking great this year, so I mean, maybe it's a bad example. But they're not as good as they were the year before.
They're not. Yeah, not the best.
But didn't they fire him because they didn't re-sign somebody? Like, because he didn't re-sign Verlander.
Right. Yes, I think you're right. I think you're right about that.
He refused to go after Verlander. He did not want to give him the contract, and I think they fired him over it. And so, I mean, I'm not saying that the Yankees should have that knee-jerky of a reaction to fire people, but like, you're looking at organizations in the past 10 years that have been run way better than us, who have been willing to say, you know what, if you're not willing to go across the vision of this team, then we'll find someone who will.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like Cashman needs to actually do his job like it's on the line for once. Like
it never is.
It never is. He just re-signed an extension. So, of course he can still get fired with this contract that he's got, but it's highly unlikely. And even with the piss poor playing, whatever, can't even think of like just the slop that was put on the field in August again this year was just, and you can't even say it was we were more riddled with injuries last year. Our starting pitching certainly took obviously a huge hit from what we thought it was going to be.
But it wasn't the pitching that was the problem ever.
It wasn't
this season.
And for our injuries in the field, we're talking Stanton, Judge, those are big, yes. Rizzo, also big, and Josh Donaldson.
Not big.
Not big. Regardless of what they wanted you to think at the beginning of the year, that we were crazy to think that he wouldn't come back. And like,
I didn't get into that in the rant, but like, yeah.
We're crazy to think he won't have a turnaround year. Oh yeah? Are we crazy? Are we still crazy? You just released him. And now he has a minor league contract with the Brewers.
A team that's not even, are they even in the, I mean, I think they're in the hunt.
I think they're in the hunt. Yeah, I think they are. But yeah, I think somebody said like they'll call him up right before the series. They're in New York next week, and then Josh Donaldson will hit like 3 home runs. Milwaukee.
Are they playing the Yankees next month?
They're playing the Yankees next week in the stadium.
Next week, I mean.
Yeah. Yeah. The Brewers are division leaders right now. So.
Okay, they went back over the Reds.
Yeah. Yes, the Reds are. Oh gosh, the Reds aren't even in wild card. I didn't know that.
I knew that they were starting to fade off a little bit.
But it's like a 3-way tie with Arizona, Miami, and Cincinnati. That's going to be exciting. I'm getting ahead of myself because we're going to talk about that later. Yeah. So I don't know. I think regardless of the very recent fun, happy vibes that have happened in the last week, because they've called up the kids, let's be honest, that Cashman shouldn't get a pass because I hope that this means that the end of the year is going to be exciting and fun and competitive again.
Right. And the Yankees have to keep the fire on his toes. I mean, I was glad to see that the Yankees or the team, or not the team, the fans organized a Fire Cashman night.
I wonder if that'll still happen
from it.
Yeah.
I thought. It hasn't happened yet. I think
it's September 22nd is when it's supposed to happen.
Oh well, if it hasn't, and that's when it's supposed to happen, I hope it still does, because at the end of the day,
I still think he deserves to be fired. Like, this should not have happened. Jason Dominguez. I'm sorry. I'm glad Jason Dominguez is on the team, but he shouldn't. He should have had the year to develop in AAA. Now, I mean, you can absolutely have arguments about this, especially recency bias with how, I mean, he's hit 2 home runs in 3 games, so maybe I'm dead wrong. But, like, he should have had time to develop in AAA and
being up next year.
If we were in control, if our organization was a real organization or not, and not like whatever the disorganized mess that they're doing, like, they just look like they don't know if they're ass from a hole in the ground. And
like I said, I mean, they decide not to do anything at the trade deadline, not buy or sell.
No, and the 2 that they did get, I mean, Middleton, or I think it's Middleton. Keenan Middleton. Yeah, I think that he's pitched well a few times that he's pitched. I like him. He's fine. But he's fine. He's not what we needed. Yeah. And the other guy they got, and they had him in the minors, they just released him. So, like, Spencer Howard or whatever.
There was zero amount of care when it came to this team. And again, like, I mean, I'm not saying that free agency is easy. I'm not, or trades are easy to do, but you're paid to do the job, you know? Like, I mean, I know that, like, they were looking at Bellinger. They wanted to trade for Bellinger, and the Cubs said, you know what, we think we got a shot. So they decided not to. You know, I get that things kind of fell off the table, but at the same time, to do nothing makes no sense. Because if those things fell off the table, you had to know that the team on August 1st was not a competitive team.
Yeah, I mean, you're filling holes with Billy McKinney and Jake Bowers and Willie Calhoun, all because they, quote, can rake, and it's like, but they can't play their positions. And
they can't play their positions, and they can rake on occasion.
And then you pinch hit them at the end of the games, or it's like it was the way they were used is just this roster is not.
Yeah.
You can't put all those kind of people in all of these holes and expect to have a winning team.
They thought that they could just analytics the shit out of this season and be good.
Hip strikes hard.
Yeah. I mean, and I know that he's caught a lot of flack over, and maybe it was just a bad quote, and he's kind of laughed at it himself. But I mean, when you have Boone saying in a press conference that outside of the 18 strikeouts we had today, the at-bats looked good. I mean, I know that was a while ago, but that's just been how the excuses have been. And
he
yes,
did acknowledge that was like supposed to be like, aside from the 18 strikeout. But no, I mean, you're right. Like, it's like, shut up. Like, none of us want to hear that shit. Like, need a better, like, it never does Boone say that was unacceptable, even when we play like little leaguers, even when kicking the ball around the infield or just, obviously out of it because they're down 3 runs early and they're like, I guess we lost. Like, you can feel the mood change when that happened last month. Like, you could just, or, not even last month, from June through August. Ago. Yeah. You could see it. You could see it in the dugout that they go down by a few runs, and it was just like all the air is taken out and they're just like, guess we lost. And it's like, where's the fight? Where's the fight? Like, there's none of that. And so now with the kids who are used to like playing competitively, apparently down in AAA, or, bringing that fight back in, I think, to the dugout and energizing everyone. And I really, really wish that they had called up Peraza at the very least 2 months ago. He should have been like a consistent player 2 months ago.
We've said it all season, and this is where, like, I think Cashman said that, and I said it earlier, that no one saw this coming. Everybody saw this coming if this was the route we went on. If you asked anybody at the beginning of the season, it said, hey, this is the not the record, but this is the situation. The Yankees will not trade to get a left fielder. They will not call up Peraza until the middle of September, nor trade him.
Yeah.
They will also not trade Everson Pereira. They will not do anything with Austin Wells. I mean, now they have, but
until we're basically out of contention,
right?
Yeah.
But on August 1st, if this is all the things that we said, we will deal with these injuries throughout the year. Now, of course, you can't predict injuries at the beginning of the season, but maybe we just forget the injuries and just look at the left fielder issue, the third base issue, the not knowing what we're doing with Josh Donald. If people just told you this is what the Yankees front office will and will not do, I would have said, yep, we're going to suck.
Well, and I think we even tried to allude to that when we were talking about Jason Dominguez. Do you think he has a shot to make it into the big leagues this year? And we were like, no. I mean, if Jason Dominguez is on a Yankee roster in 2023, the Yankees are in a bad spot, and they were. That's why he's up. I mean, if the Yankees were winning, he wouldn't be up.
Right. It's because we would have had a left fielder. We would have had somebody.
We would have had somebody in the or in their fantasy world, Hicks worked out. Hicks and IKF held down and Bader held down the spots out there. Poor Hicks. Sure. Yeah, whatever. No, you don't hear anybody talking about Hicks anymore because he came back down to earth. I
mean, these things happen. It's the same thing that happened with Gallo when he got sent out to the Dodgers. He had a really hot 1 or 2 weeks. And then he was back to normal. He went to Minnesota. He started the season off with 1 or 2 hot weeks. And I don't know his statistics, but he's not Texas Rangers Joey Gallo.
No. So it's like not everything can be Boone and Cashman. Like, the players have to produce, but you also need to predict when last year ended the way it did with all the injuries, and you put it back the base, you ran it all back the same way. You didn't make any changes. That it was very likely that these older guys, before all these kids were called up, were one of the oldest teams in the league, and they're going to get injured. Like, yes,
and
Judge's
even when it
stuff was
comes
freak,
to
but Donaldson, you can't. How could you count on him coming back? Stop it! You're stupid. We've got catchers that are
DJ
defensive
LeMahieu.
catchers. A center fielder that's a defensive catcher, or center fielder that was a defensive center fielder. DJ LeMahieu that didn't decide it. Sean Casey must be the reason why he's actually hitting well again. Bless you. So like, we can say you can't predict injuries, but I feel like that's not an excuse after last year and after the year before and after the year before that. And so
we've been dealing with it since 2018.
No more excuses with injuries.
Yeah, it's not a new news story there.
Yeah.
And what I was going to say with DJ LeMay, who's been doing great in this last month, specifically in the last week. But what you can predict is, what's the word? People falling
regressing
down. Regressing. Thank you.
Yeah.
Regression. You can predict regression to some extent. Now, DJ LeMahieu's regression has been significant since he signed his contract in 2020.
Yes.
And I don't regret signing him. I was a big fan of bringing him in. And I think that in a sense, like, he hasn't really been that bad until big stretches for this year. But when you get into the offseason, you have to recognize DJ LeMahieu has potential to regress further. He's already regressed in the last 2 years. Aaron Judge, yes, his stuff is freak incidents, but you also have to understand the type of player and the type of body that Aaron Judge has. He is the type of player who goes all out. And at times, it can get him into a position where going all out when you're 6'9", that can cause freak injury. I mean, that's not necessarily you can always predict that, but that's something that you can look at. Josh Donaldson, don't know where in hell that they believed that he was going to have a comeback season, and that we were crazy to believe otherwise. That's obviously predictable. Jose Trevino has been injured since spring training, and we just predicted that he was going to become an offensive juggernaut at that position.
He was going to be the same as last year, even though they knew he was injured.
Ben Rourke-Vet, couldn't play ever since he got onto the team, and he's going to be consistent.
A AAA guy. Yeah, I mean,
IKF, and I liked IKF this year. I think since the beginning of the season, we've said that the position he's going to be in, the role he's going to play, is going to benefit him. But you really think that he's going to be the difference maker to make us a great team?
If you were counting on IKF being the difference maker, we're, again, in a bad spot. And they were doing that. And IKF, in the role he is playing as a off the bench guy, he's a roaming guy. He's the ultimate roaming guy. He can even pitch for you if you're really sucking. So he's the ultimate utility guy. That word was escaping me. So that's great position for him to be in, but he shouldn't be. He's not your everyday center fielder. He's not your everyday left fielder.
Utility means that he's not every day at a particular position.
And now with the kids up, we haven't seen him in a little bit, but that's okay. He should be like that.
That's how it should be.
Yeah, like his strong points, his strengths are to fill those holes and give people rest, not be the Band-Aid to a solution to our roster problems.
And even when it comes to young Carlos Stanton, again, another contract that I think people who want to have 2020 hindsight want to say awful contract, awful trade. But at the time, I don't think there was anybody who was upset about bringing in young Carlos Stanton.
Everybody joked that it was like an inside job, that Jeter was just bringing it, because all we gave up was Starlin Castro and a couple other no-names. And I think the Marlins paid for a little bit of his contract. So, I think you're right. Yeah.
So, when it comes to all that with Stanton, again, this is another player where you can go back to his season last year and you can hope that Stanton plays to how he was in 2017, 2018, 2019. But 2021, 2022, and 2020 have all been injury-ridden seasons for Stanton. And he still has the power, but he's not consistent with hitting the ball. he's slow as now.
Yeah, like on purpose.
Yeah. And so it's crazy that at one point Stanton was a 5-tool player, and
yeah, it is.
now he's a 1-tool player.
It's really disappointing. Yeah, it's really disappointing. I mean, I still hold the fact that he plays better when he plays in the field, and I just wish that there was something that they could do to figure out how he can't, have a calf injury every other month.
But again, these things are predictable. And so for you to go into an interview and say no one could have predicted this, then you should be fired, because a fan who doesn't know from a hole in the ground, or however that saying goes, when it comes to baseball GMing, can tell you this is all the things that were obviously going wrong. And you can go back to the preseason spring training tapes of us talking about this stuff. Shows that you don't really, you said, have any urgency with your job.
Exactly. I think, I'm sure in the background they're probably talking about, oh my God, this is awful. And we tried to get a left fielder, but that, all these trades didn't work out. But it's your job to make this work. It's your job to find us a left fielder and not go, Benintendi didn't want to sign with us, so I guess IKF's our left fielder. They were putting all their eggs in one basket.
We're not done.
Yeah, we're not done, and then you go get Franchi. That's that is just the ultimate slap in the face. I will say that that I know people are like, Sean Casey hasn't done anything. I think he has done stuff for the players that connection and was important. So like DJ LeMahieu, I don't know the stats from when Sean Casey started with us for DJ LeMahieu, but eye test says that he's actually hitting well again. And, actually comes up with runners on and he hits a double just the other day, or he's hitting a home run, I think it was yesterday. He was like first pitch, almost home run missed by inches yesterday. So he looks like he's mentally better, or whatever it was that wasn't, clicking with Don Lawson or whatever. Mm-hmm. It seems, at least for DJ LeMahieu, Dylan Lawson, right, is clicking now for him with Sean Casey. But this between everything with Rizzo, between everything with Peraza and Josh Donaldson, between everything with Dylan Lawson even being on the team in the first place with that philosophy, it just is directionless. And I think with the kids being called up, it feels like finally there's some sort of direction. At least, okay, we're not making the playoffs, but the kids are here. They're having fun. We're being able to see people playing in positions that they're meant to play in. And
they're doing well.
Yeah. They talk about how,
ironically, surprisingly, when you play a position you're supposed to play, you do well.
Imagine that.
Like IKF, the few times he's played third base this season, it's crazy. It's almost like he's I think that's the joke every time. It's it's crazy. It's almost like he won a Gold Glove in that position.
Did he? Oh wow! Look at that. Yeah, it's that whole philosophy just irritates the shit out of me. Just all we care is what you do at the plate. So play wherever you want in the field.
And to an extent, it can work. To an extent, some of that stuff can work, but their hitting has to be their thing. And for some of these players that they're moving around, hitting isn't their thing. IKF is not a hitter.
Well, and there's something to be said about how did they not learn when they're moving Gleyber Torres over to shortstop, and now he's trying to concentrate on not sucking as a shortstop, and then he sucks at hitting now because his focus has been shifted. So it's how did you not learn from that? To me, it feels like they're just playing with the field, and they're well, we'll just all we care about is what your numbers say
that changing positions doesn't really change all that much. Their analytics say that hitting home runs is the most important. Barreling, not even hitting home runs, barreling
percentage and
and exit velocity are the things to look at. That's why they like Josh Donaldson, because he barrels balls really well.
Yeah.
But it doesn't also account for the amount of times that he doesn't swing the bat at all.
or just whiffs at a fastball down the middle. Yeah.
So, that's the issues with our analytics department. So, I mean, to an extent, yes, one of the things we should do is have someone look at the analytics department and change it. But that shouldn't be the only thing. Because, I mean, at this point, we're like we said, we're just not there.
Yeah. I am, to be a little hopeful. I am hopeful to see that, maybe, Jason Dominguez can continue to rake and continue to be the Martian and continue to have so much fun out there. And he can be our starting center fielder in 2024. And, I hope that he's given the same chance that Volpe was given
during spring training
this year. I know that Jason Dominguez totally, he went off in spring training this year too, but at least you and I were in agreement that he shouldn't be in a major league roster in April this year. And
if you look at his minor league stats, especially early on, he struggled a lot. Even in Double-A, he struggled a lot for a long time.
He needed that. He needed to be able to figure out, these a little bit better pitchers. And like we've always said, and it's obvious, the jump from AAA to Major League Baseball is huge. You're going to face maybe a couple of good pitchers a week in AAA, and you're facing excellent pitchers every day.
First pitcher that you face is Justin Verlander.
But he's like, no big deal, no worries. Like, I got you. Yeah. So that's exciting.
Verlander,
get hyped for, right? Get hyped for Jason Dominguez. I think he's going to be really awesome. His swing is going to work beautifully as a lefty when he's a lefty at bat in Yankee Stadium. And
let's not forget Austin Wells too. I mean,
I was just going to say, Austin Wells has been a surprise to me because the way people talk about him is maybe his bat will work, but behind the plate, he's But all the pitchers have glorious things to say about him. He's 1-for-1 in caught stealings. He threw somebody out at the plate yesterday. I don't know, at least in the Astros series, and he got a single his first at bat. He had more than one hit. I don't know what he
had a clutch hit in
he had a double yesterday, I think. He had so RBI double yesterday. So yeah, I think that, of course pitchers are going to adjust to them. They're going to have to adjust back just like every other hitter in Major League Baseball, but it'll be fun to see what they can do the rest of this month. And I do think that Hal called them up so that there were butts in the seats for this next series, but that's all right though, because they're fun to watch. So then you got Pereira, who's playing a very good left field. Imagine that, and you got Peraza at third base. It's all good. We'll see I don't know if Rizzo's going to come back this year. I could see that potentially screwing some of that vibe up, because if Rizzo comes back, DJ will probably play third. They're going to throw Peraza back down, or I don't know, or maybe just put him on the bench. I don't know, but that'll kind of be dumb. But
if they put Peraza back down at this point in the season,
that's true.
That's just
negligence.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they probably won't do that at this point in the season. There's probably room to be able to figure that out, but he won't play consistently.
Down, if Rizzo is back at some point this season, if any of them get sent down, it's going to be Oswaldo Cabrera.
Yeah. The last
because he is DJ LeMahieu / IKF. They don't need 3 utility guys, and Cabrera is the one who's had plenty of opportunity.
That's true. Yeah.
That would be what makes sense.
It is. Yeah, I think you're right. And that's honestly, they have used Waldo as the up and down piece lately because Peraza was already down. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. They did say that Rizzo was doing baseball activities in New York during this past season series.
He fielded some balls at first base.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, maybe he's not hitting off the tee anymore. Maybe he's. Yeah. I don't know. So we'll see. I don't know if he comes back this series. Oh, speaking of that, I guess one little rant about people continuing to say, why is Aaron Judge playing? We don't have a playoff. We're not in playoff contention. So why is Aaron Judge playing? Shut up. Are you serious? Like Aaron Judge, first of all, if he sat, how many people would be screaming about him getting his bag and then sitting on the bench.
I'm going to need you to get up all the way off my back about this.
Yeah, like I've been hearing it over and over the last month, and I'm like, first of all, Aaron Judge is not the player to just sit because his team is playing poorly. So no. And second, I know our medical staff has been looking like they're the elementary school nurse. Like that's the I don't know. Like they're looking super incompetent, but I would trust Aaron Judge has taken probably control of his own medical issues, and he was told that playing would not increase or not make his injury worse. If he can play through the pain, go ahead and do it, and you don't need surgery. So all these people that are like, sit down and just get the surgery, like he has been told he doesn't need that surgery, and I trust Judge, who has gotten his own hitting coach because he didn't trust the Yankees hitting coach, assumably. I trust that he has gotten his own medical figured out. So if he thinks he is healthy enough to be on that field and playing, like, who cares who cares if it's just so that the 8-year-old who came to the ballpark just to see Aaron Judge play gets to see Aaron Judge play? Like, stop. Like, I am so sick of hearing people.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Well, in top of that, I've heard someone say that not only should Aaron Judge sit, but they should also shut Garrett Cole down the rest of the year, unless he still wants to win the Cy Young.
I'm like, unless he wants one of the highest trophies you can get besides a World Series trophy, unless he wants that for his career or anything.
It is definitely one of those comments that I do not get. And I don't remember, like, it was somebody like within, like, that's pretty popular within the Yankees Twitterverse.
Yeah, I've seen it kind of pop up here and there so much. I don't exactly know who it was. It's just a general feeling of mine that's just stop.
Just stop. In general, yeah. I mean, it's one of the dumbest things that I think a Yankee fan can be talking about right now is to shut those two guys down. Without them, we would be
a laughing stock.
Oakland
A's, like, stop.
If Judge was like limping along and playing absolute baseball, then it's like, okay.
Then I hear you.
Then I hear you there.
Don't make it worse. We don't want you to screw up your foot for the rest of the 9 years you've got on your we don't want that. But he doesn't. He's not wincing in pain.
He's raking still. He's playing very well.
His OPS is the highest in the league still, right? Like, I mean, it's like, trust that Judge.
Then Garrett Cole is even sillier.
Much sillier. Like, we're already like having bullpen day after bullpen day, it feels like. So what?
I mean, if you take Garrett Cole out of there, then you're risking other people's health too.
That's true.
I mean, look at what happened when we pulled when Herman.
Ian Hamilton goes on the IL.
Goes on the IL.
Ian Hamilton's back on the IL probably because I don't know, but he's been used a lot because they had to go, stretch out King to try to get, this is only his second time he's gone through 5 innings yesterday. So you overuse the bullpen, you're going to get injuries like that. That's just fact. I mean, and
we don't. It's not like we have a plethora of starting pitching capabilities of young guys that
we've already pulled them up.
And again, we know Cole isn't even injured. Like, there's no injury issues with Garrett Cole. He's pitching perfectly fine.
Put him in bubble wrap and sit him there and have him come out of the chamber.
This season's pointless, so let's just bench everybody. It
just makes no sense. Like, what kind of play would you want that kind of player on your team that would be okay with just like, oh, my team's losing, so that.
Yeah, what are we talking about?
These are
the kind of things with Yankee fans that just drive me absolutely nuts. Yeah. It's like, shut up. You don't know everything. Your hot take is absolutely stupid.
Trash. Yeah. Some of them just say stuff just to be like, I don't know. You're like, hey, take a breath. Gleyber Torres isn't the worst player in the league. Like, just because he booted
Right.
that ball, his bat is needed, and his bat is very valuable. So shut up and extend him, is my opinion. But,
go ahead and keep ranting about it. Sorry, one second.
Well, or do we want to keep ranting, or do we actually have thoughts about the actual playoffs?
Right. Well,
Yeah.
we know. Yeah. So the Yankees are not making the playoffs. We can go through the standings while Ryan's there. I'll just give you the facts here. Wild card, the 3 in the AL wild card right now is Tampa, Texas, and Houston. Tampa's up by 6.5 games, so they've got that secured. And I think I'd have to look. I mean, I think they're kind of eking up on. Yeah, they're only 2.5 back from Baltimore. Tampa is, so and Seattle has leapfrogged over the other 2, Texas and Houston, so they're fighting to stay into those other 2
Yankees.
spots.
You're welcome, Seattle.
Yeah, you're welcome, Seattle, for sweeping Houston. So I mean, that was pretty freaking awesome. I don't know, but go into Houston and sweep them. That was just I felt so good. It was like, oh, thank you so much. I needed some good mood. Good out of the Yankees. Yeah. So the Texas and Houston are tied for the third. Like I think Houston technically has like 1 percentage point lower winning percentage than Texas, but they're by record tied
for the second spot.
Yeah, for the second spot, I think, or whatever. Yeah, they have the second spot, and then Toronto is a game and a half out of the third spot. So,
and then I think Boston is what
5.5, 5.5, and the Yankees are 8.5 as of September 4th.
Yeah. So to answer Cliff's question, basically what did we say beforehand? 18 games until elimination for the Yankees.
Yeah, their elimination number is 18.
So basically, we would have to go 18-0 in the next 18 games. We have to go 18-0, and Boston, Toronto.
Houston and Texas.
Or at least one of Houston or Texas. Have to be bad, basically.
They need to lose.
Each team, like Boston, doesn't have to be as bad. Basically, one of Houston or Texas has to be really bad. They basically have to go 9-9 in that stretch. And then
if Texas just keeps throwing Chapman in there to blow games, I mean,
if Toronto, if Toronto wins more than it wins 10 games or less, and then I guess if Boston only wins,
I keep forgetting. A bug landed in my water, and I keep forgetting. I need to put it over there. Sorry.
I think Boston could win 13 games. So basically that's the situation. Is the Yankees have to go on a really long winning streak, and all these other teams have to be who have been winning have to not be winning.
It's like at most the Yankees could maybe lose like 3 games.
Right. But that
and
also
the
means
other
if
teams,
that means they would have to lose 3 more games than being
unlikely.
At 500.
Yeah, so, highly unlikely. What we're doing now at the end of the year is trying to play spoiler for other people. I mean, I guess really all that's left would just be the Blue Jays is to kind of try to just push them further out of a spot, like a reachable spot.
A better way to put it is the Yankees would have to win 9 more games than Texas or Houston. Yeah. They would have to win 8 more games than Toronto, and they'd have to win 6 more games than Boston.
Right. So
in 18 games.
So I think really the best the Yankees could reasonably do right now is finish the 4th spot, like finish 1 out of the playoffs. I think that's really the best they could do right now. So enjoy the rest of the season with the kids. Watch how they play, see how well, Domingo does.
We manage them.
Dominguez does in Yankee Stadium. That'll be fun, hopefully. And then we'll look for, off season needs changes and hope for 2024 to be better. That's kind of where we're at the end of the season. So we'll see.
Yeah. And as far as our rant went, as much as we don't want Cashman back, as much as we want all these changes, Yankee fans also need to be realistic and understand next season our front office is not going to look like Jeter being the GM,
Yeah.
Posada being our manager,
Andy Pettit
being our
could
pitching
be the
coach.
pitching coach. I don't know. That could be
What?
realistic.
It won't?
And
Yeah,
what
no.
was it? Who's supposed to be the hitting coach?
I don't think Jeter wants to be the GM. I mean, let's be realistic. Even if Hal Carl begged him, he has 4 kids, 4 young kids, and he is enjoying being able to go on Saturday Fox baseball
when he wants,
stop. He does not want the grind every day of being a GM anymore. I highly doubt it. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but he certainly does. I mean, people want him to be the manager too. He absolutely doesn't want to be the manager. No. I mean,
so I just want to make sure that fans aren't going to start getting delusional here, as sometimes they are. And start saying that these
it's
not Yankee fans.
Yeah.
I would love Paul O'Neill to be the hitting coach, but he's also doesn't want to do that. He likes being able to, be in Cincinnati. He's got great
I heard
kids
that Paulie was considered for manager before they went with Boone.
Oh, really? I know that Coney is someone you could. I think he interviewed. I remember him interviewing with the front office at some point for manager. I think he would be. I would be all hands in for Coney to be.
Yeah.
In some kind of managing, whether that's the pitching, but I think he'd be a great manager, honestly.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, Boone is going to be our manager of 2024, and Cashman is going to be the GM. So
don't get your hopes up. I mean, Boone is the only one I could see that gets fired, and he would only be to be a scapegoat. And if he ekes them back over 500, he's not getting fired.
Right.
If we,
I said early in this that if he does happen to do that with the kids, but putting them in the lineup, good on him, and proves that he's not as much of the issue. But we all know that Cashman isn't going anywhere until he decides to retire.
I think you're right.
Until he decides to do what Billy Beane did and decides to be president of operations only.
Right.
And hire his own GM. That's the only way I see
until Brian
someone else
Cashman
being
doesn't
GM.
want to do this anymore, he's the Yankees GM. I just don't see any other way.
Unless next season that we end up being even worse and we're and it gets to a point where Hal
has to.
There's
nobody in the stands. I mean, that'd be really the only way I would think. I just realistically, I don't see Hal growing a pair and firing his buddy.
No.
Family friend, whatever the hell he wants to, call him. So, but yeah.
Kitty's got some, I don't know if he
Kitty
wants
has
to
opinions.
Say
What's up, Pumpkin?
You got anything to say, Pumpkin?
What's up, Pumpkin?
Be a better GM. What'd you say?
So what's up, Pumpkin?
What's up, Pumpkin? So that's State of the Yankees, and hopefully, we have some fun few games coming up and enjoy them. They don't really mean much, but
yeah. Like I said, it's great to have swept the Astros, but I wish we didn't do it when the season was meaningless.
Highlight of the year for sure. But so.
Anyway, so if you're still listening after our couple of long breaks at the end of this season, we definitely appreciate all of you for doing so, and follow us on Twitter, I guess X, at Damn Yanks _pod, as well as same on Instagram. For Facebook, it's at Damn Yanks Pod.
On Threads too, right?
Oh,
Threads.
Yes. I think that's also at Damn Yanks _pod.
Yes, same as Instagram.
Same as Instagram. Yep.
And then hit the notification and subscribe button for YouTube or Spotify, however you listen to the podcast. And we'll see you next time.
Yeah. See ya.
See ya.